Hello, everybody. How you doing? Welcome, Grumpy. Congratulations, whatever that means. Come on, last. Well, hopefully. Well, I don't know if hopefully, but if you're the last person, this is gonna be a really intimate stream between the three of us. Where's this coming from, Master? I don't have friends. I have people I vaguely know because friends. Is this something you experienced recently? And you got that 50 stream streak. Let's go. Grumpy. What are the chat rules? Well, essentially, there's like not too many rules, but it is sort of required that we leave space for everybody here, right? And that we behave like in a really, um, really safe way, so people can be vulnerable here, and so therefore, like no judgment, and just like asking questions in a way where there's like room to disagree and respect the feelings of other people. So I don't know, for example, if somebody's like talking about how tough their day was, then maybe like not, like what is my camera frozen by the way? Like to me my camera is frozen. I think the camera is frozen. Wait, let me see if I can fix it. Yeah. Okay, that was pretty easy. I don't know why that happened, but let's hope it was the last time it happened. Um yeah. So I don't know if somebody explains something like really vulnerable and really sad, for example, like coming in with um the, I don't know, just something like really conflicting where you like don't match the vibe at all, like that can sort of like seem dismissive as well. So just being a bit sensitive to and aware of what the people are like going through, what the mood of the chat is right now. I think that's honestly like the only things like we can talk about like anything, so like no topic um is like uh banned or whatever. It just requires like for some topics it requires a certain sensitivity to talk about them, right? So for example, we had some people who didn't understand why people commit suicide, and I think this is actually like a question which makes a lot of sense, right? Like if you haven't been in that situation, you probably don't understand. So that question in itself is, for example, like it's entirely fine. But if you phrase that question in a way where you sort of like make statements about people having suicidal ideations, like, oh, like they're all like whiny as bitches or something, like then it's not fine again anymore. Like there's sort of like, there's a normal way to talk about things, and then there's a way how you like dismiss the experience of other people. So but I think like any person who's sort of like a bit like socially intelligent sort of knows that difference. But yeah, also like we talked about what is my camera doing? I'm gonna check the cables. Okay, now it's stuck. Okay. I mean, that it was stuck again means I sort of did something, right? So let's hope that actually fixes it. Thank you so much for the follow. So yeah, there's also like a panel sort of explaining the chat rules a little bit more below the stream. But yeah. So welcome, welcome, Stroke and Medio and Yengo. How are you guys doing? I had a talk with my friends and they say I don't want to be happy, so I told them they didn't want to support me. told them to walk out. Don't want to come. They just want to shit on. The hard boundary. I will not let them shit about me. Don't want to listen. Yeah. So how is there like any sort of feedback already? Like, did anybody like come back saying sorry or something like this, or did anybody just leave and you don't know if there's gonna be any sort of way to fix things? And how did that start? But that must be quite hard. Hi, Talon. Welcome, welcome. Hi, Artang. How's it going? Great. Also, I started a new hobby. Kind of questionable, but I started writing smart stories. All right. To each their own, I guess. I'm really unsure actually how the smart stories, um, like if that has any sort of like anything to do or is anywhere in the area of like porn addiction. Um, so I'm not sure if that's sort of the same area or not. Ooh, what type of public holiday is it? Greetings from Germany. Ja, moin moin. Willkommen, willkommen. Greetings back. Thank you for the follow. I left. I will be alone the rest of my life. Just stupid. I don't deserve anyone. The limbo of being proud of setting a boundary and understand can be quite hard to like deal, I guess, with the backlash of making the right decision, right? I mean, especially if you're a person who doesn't have many friends, even shitty friends were like did something, right? And then just especially like if you have abandonment fear, sometimes it's like easier to have somebody around even if they're not really no, even if it's not really a healthy relationship, than having nobody around. And I think it makes a lot of sense, Asta, right, with your upbringing and stuff. But in a way, I think, I feel like you know yourself that you don't have to be alone the rest of your life and that you do deserve proper friends. Even if they're like sort of, if your sort of negative intrusive thoughts are are telling you something else, and even if the auditory hallucinations are telling you something else. And I think there's like this, maybe, you can call it like naive hope or idealism, but I feel like clinging on to that might not be a bad idea. Just sort of for till you know, find some other people. Because if you end up not putting yourself out there, right, then I don't know, you don't have a chance of getting to. Amusing way I found you. I saw your Prominence 2 video on YouTube and I drew my attention to your integrated video. Often thought about it. Damn! Let's go. That is actually quite funny. Yeah, the Minecraft videos are doing the best on my channel. Like, there's also like, I don't know if you've seen like all the VODs of the streams here. I put them on YouTube so like people can look like talks up they've been enjoying and sort of like want to come back to later on. But yeah. They're not performing well considering they're just like unedited VODs. Thank you, Raka. Hmm. Um, you had auditory hallucinations till Saturday and didn't sleep? Mm, that's that's really tough. You know, have some grace for yourself. In a way, I feel like what you know a lot of stuff about yourself already, right? And you know how your body works and how, for example, these auditory hallucinations work and how these inner voices work, right? And I think you remember maybe when back when we talked about uh, uh, oh, this is actually just the right thing. Back when we talked about each person's sort of needs they need to have fulfilled, otherwise like things are going downhill, you know. We especially know that things are going downhill, like if you have like more of like fragile mental health. If you're, for example, or like actually it's like for everybody, like even if your mental health is good, then it's going worse. But I mean, for the people who are like more volatile in that sense, it's like a bigger impact, right? Um, but I don't know if you remember when that we talked about, for example, like physical exhaustion being a factor where all of these symptoms you have, which are sort of like symbolizing that your mental health is like on the downhill sort of way, right? Are gonna get worse if you're like physically exhausted. For example, when you spend more time on like dopamine draining things, for example, like social media or addictions, if like for women more prominent, but also can be a thing for men, is like when your hormones are out of bound, right, and not like as you're used to them. And then if you're tired because you're like sleep deprivation, if your food or like nutrition is not the best. So for example, if you have been like eating like fast food for the last week or something, and your body is like really like not doing well because your stomach and your intestines and like all the nutrients you need, there's so many nutritions you didn't get, so your body needs to sort of like is halfway in survival mode, like trying to get these nutritions from somewhere. And then at the same time maybe like you have uh like the irritated like bowel syndrome, and then you're like your bowel is going to be like super irritated, right? Or for example, if you have like no sun and are lacking vitamin D, if you haven't been in nature at all, if yeah, if you have like problems in your social circle, or you don't have that, like you don't socialize as normal, or if you did like no exercise at all and your body is sort of like dying, right? Um, so it's just a way where like knowing this, it makes a lot of sense why your voices are louder now, right? But it's not really a way of like they're louder now because they're right, right? And they I don't know, like they know what's going on, or that there's like more sort of evidence to what they're saying, right? They are louder because of the circumstances you are in, and because the circumstances make you like more tired, less easy to like fight against them, right? It can be in the sun, but my body doesn't store the vitamin D. That's why I take. Oh, that's a lot of vitamin D. Yeah. No, that makes a lot of sense. But I think if you have these things in the back of your mind, maybe that's gonna help you deal with these voices, right? And deal with the negative self-talk you have. Because you know it's not the case that it's more true now, and that's why it's louder, right? But it's the case that you're more tired. Your body is in a less optimal state than before, and that's why they get louder. Like, it's not based on how much evidence they have or how valid they are. Hi, Blue Striker. Welcome, welcome. Depending on your auto mod held message, we're by the way like LGBTQ plus, like supportive, right? Just to make sure you know. it's like super connected. So, you know, don't don't take it too much to heart. Because yeah, it's not based on really like reality or more facts or more evidence. It's really honestly just based on your head is in a worse space, in a worse headspace, and that's why more of these thoughts and sort of your mind shifts in a more negative direction. But you don't need to believe it. It's not really warning you from anything. Like it's essentially it's based in fear, but the advice it gives is not really helpful. No, I understand. I think, in a way you need to take what's useful from these voices and leave what's not useful, right? I got the last message, Mirandex. I'm sorry I didn't like say it out loud. I was like thinking about it, and but then the next thought like instantly catched me. I just wanted to like focus on Esther for a second and then come back to your message. But I should have like clearly said it. My bad. Exactly, Medio. Like a lot of like when I had like really bad mental health, I was struggling with like negative self-talk and depression and stuff like this. Um, I always thought that I can believe the reality I perceive. I always thought that the way I sort of like my logic works and the way I interpret things would make sense. And I thought that my logic, if I base it on more like objective things, would be really deterministic. Like, really, like A happened and B is the outcome, and this is the reality. But the thing is, if you put a not depressed person, like, or the same person in a non depressed state versus a depressed state in the same room and let it interpret the room and like all those different like stimuli in the room the same, the result is going to be entirely different. So, based on your mental state, based on how your body feels as well, you will perceive reality different. You will judge reality different, especially, for example, the safety of the reality you are in right now. This is why, for example, if you come into an argument with a person, right, with a partner, or with a friend, with a person which matters to you, in the beginning, maybe the argument seems really superficial, but if you get into like a downward spiral into that argument, you might have noticed or like lived through this yourself that at the end of this, you're like, everything is shit, and this person is like so toxic, and oh my god, I can't imagine how I've ever been friends with them. But once you get out of that situation, you cool down a day later, maybe two, maybe just a few hours or a few minutes later, depending on like how fast you're able to cool down from this, right? But then you probably see the situation entirely different. And this is really like we feel like we can always believe how we see reality, and we believe in sort of like an objective reality you can try to perceive in like if you have like good self-awareness and stuff like this. But you really can't. Like if your body feels really shit, you won't interpret things the same way. Like if you have stomach pain, if you have headache, and you try to interpret something, the calculations going on in your mind are entirely different, right? Because you're already like you're using so much energy. Like the way your body interprets, okay, like how much energy can I still spend? How much pain can I still take? All of this is going to change. Like if you feel cold, the way you touch things and like the sensation you get is going to feel different. Like the heat of something is going to feel different, the cold of something is going to feel different. Sometimes you can't even properly like feel the texture of something if you're cold. And this is with everything. Like everything of us is super influenced by how the needs of it are fulfilled. So, for example, if we're hungry, we're way more likely to eat the most random bullshit than if we're not hungry. Because the calculation entirely changes. Like the priorities change. So if you're in a state where your body feels like we need to survive, your priority is going to change. It's too cold to go for a long walk, and that makes me really sad because outside makes me lose my. Maybe you can invest in one of these like really, really long jackets. You know which one I mean? That's like these like puffer jackets, which are really like nearly down to the floor. Like maybe that could be a thing, because if like going outside and going for a walk is something which like really helps you and is one of their like best strategies to cool yourself down, invest in something which makes that possible. And for example, if you think that it's more about the exercise, you could invest in a gym membership and then like just walk on the like treadmill, right? If you already know like no, it's really like the nature stuff, then for example, like a thicker jacket or something. Like something which lets you do this. You can also, of course, always try different types of emotional regulation exercises, right? Like going for a long walk in nature, I think like this is like a very universally known thing to calm down. But for some people, it's also like a thing of like just being in a quiet room, which is rather dark. I think that's probably not as useful for you with auditory hallucination. For some people, it can also just be like going into the city and walking through the city center, right? Can't eliminate the fact that our experience is subjective. What you think or what you feel, so change. Exactly. And it's not even only subjective in the way that like my neighbor is going to see this different than me, but it's really like even within like the experience of ourselves, it can change day by day, hour per hour. It can change like this. If something happens which is triggering you, this is essentially like a change like this. And then it just, you know, takes off. Walking with my dog, I can dress for the cold, but my dog can't. I see. I don't know how. I don't know how comfortable your dog is, but I've seen sort of people who, for example, have like a backpack pouch thing for their dog, where they can like put the dog in, like not able to like walk further anymore. Or there's like, yeah, or like dog jackets. But okay, well, if she tears that one up, then thanks. But uh, I mean, maybe sort of like a smaller walk will do something at least for you, you know? Maybe you can start with that one and then see if that already took off the edge, you know? And then you can like stay home a bit, like let her like warm up again and then like go again for a small walk. And hi Ash, welcome, welcome. But try to look for something you can do for yourself, Asta. Oh, she's 25 kilo. Oh, well, okay. Oh, but it's crazy that she gets too cold. Like, I would think that like a Malinois would be like, because they're like so sporty, right? That they could like, keep themselves warm, maybe. Hi, Phoenix. Welcome, welcome. People out there invited that it's people we could avoid some problems. Like knowing, oh, this person is saying these things because they are in this state of mind, not focus on super surface level topics of. Well, the thing is, like, sometimes that helps, right? But sometimes people are also like, when they like talk about these like superficial surface level topics in an argument, they're not really aware themselves that they are in this state of mind. So when you then sort of like, um, in a way, like put that out there, they might not be ready to actually like see that. At the same time, it's definitely a thing where like it's essentially like a little bit under the like have you ever heard of mentalizing? Because that's sort of like what you talk about, and it's a really great skill. And that one you actually like with that like the sort of I guess the recommendation how to try and get other people to mentalize is actually mentalize yourself. So mentalizing is essentially like putting yourself in the shoes of the other person and exactly sort of thinking like this, like sort of like trying to understand why they're so angry right now and trying to understand the logic behind that. And then it's like easier to talk about these things, right? Um, but I think honestly, the more I guess the easier way in to use this in a social setting is just to believe others. Like you don't need to believe them about uh like about yourself, but believe them how they see reality, if that makes sense. Like if some person says like you suck so much, like don't believe them in the way that you're like, oh no, I suck so much, but believe them that this is what they think, that this is actually what they think. Like they don't only say this to like piss you off, but believe them that this is what they think. Because there's so many situations where we like argue about whether something is true or not, whether even though it's really just this is true for them and that won't really change if we just find like a counter argument. Because yeah, like usually like you say, it's more about the like sort of what is the like logic behind it and like the feelings behind it, which you can't like outsmart just in an argument like this. Like if you're in an argument where there's emotions involved, it's really about the emotion. It's not much about what is being said. So if you then can address the emotions, but not really in a way of like, oh, I see you're like doing this and whatever, like you in that like worse state of mind, but more like really in a way of like, oh, I see you're angry with me and you seem to feel like really unsafe. What can I do for you right now? Like how can we fix that? Yeah. There's a video on mentalizing. So tiny up there. Ah. Oh, okay. This is like a video on mentalizing. A good one. Okay, let me. Okay, so someone who has lost good friends, the question to ask is why your friends generally shitting on you, or are they just bad at communication and are frustrated with your attack? Because if it's the latter, then that can be changed. With level heads, you will get a lot. If they are hating on you for the sake of it, that's when you walk away. If telling someone they are being negative, be both, and it's important to know which one is it. Yeah, it's definitely a very, I don't know, like with all relationships, right? It can be very complicated really quick. Mm. Nice chronology. I'm glad for you. I hope it's gonna go well. I mean, just because she has like short hair doesn't really mean she's gonna get cold, right? Like, as far as I'm concerned, the codes are sort of different, and cold is like for dogs, I think like easier to actually like hold through as for humans. How were you able to ground yourself? Kumarology. Mm. I see, Asta. Okay, so okay, I get it. Like 4 hours is actually quite long. Would you say mentalizing can be double-edged sword? Like, do you believe there are malignant people who can use that for manipulation purposes? I mean, of course, people can use sort of insight into other people for like manipulation purposes, but it's not like they're gonna wait. Like, it's not like they need to know the term mentalizing to manipulate you. Like, people who learn manipulation usually learn it in childhood from like either peers or their parents. So it's not really a thing where like you don't manipulate people all your life and then you read like one book and now all of a sudden you like start manipulating people. That's usually not really how it starts. Hi, Habib. Welcome. Hi, Ali. How are you doing today? Is today better than yesterday? I read your messages in Discord. So did sleeping work? Sometimes you have to choose whether you want to be the friend or the figure. And always have both. You can get the respect, be there for someone. Hmm. I honestly think being the parental figure is a really double-edged sword. Because at the same time, like some people need that, yeah, I understand. But they need it because they lack the skills of being a healthy adult themselves. And that's something they should really learn because otherwise they're gonna be dependent on you. Like the sort of the relationship of parent-child, right, is essentially um it's a dependent relationship. Like the child is dependent on the parent. And at some point, your parent should like let you go, and then there's like less dependency, hopefully, and it turns more into like a friend type relationship. Um, but I think you can be a friend and also help your friend and guide your friend and give your friend like really sound advice. Like it doesn't. You don't need to like friends don't need to be like useless if that makes sense. Um, It's just with like the parent-child dynamic technically means that your parent is like sort of like needs to give you like all of your needs and like meet your needs because they decided to get that kid, right? Like it was sort of like they signed up for that uh yeah, for this whole ordeal. And you as a kid, you can't do stuff alone. So there's just things where like they need to do them for you. Like there's no other option really. But like as an adult, there's like I'm sort of worried about the term of like, oh, like yeah, you can be the parent for some of your friends. Like I don't think that's I feel like we're like like depending on like how you really like mean that, right? The possibility is quite high that we're talking about a dependent relationship. Um, which can lead to a lot of problems. Uh, Sorry, Lapino, but we need like English or German in this stream. Otherwise, we can't make sure if your messages are like, like are okay or not. So, Can I? Oh, that's. Oh my god. I took them away already. I took them away already. It's fine. I didn't know that was the button for that. How do you delete single messages? Drag to. Can you not delete single messages anymore? Anyways. Mostly been sleeping all Saturday and Sunday. Stable. I'm glad, Ellie. Click on the message and delete message. I don't have that button. Like I tried it, but I don't have it. I just have the like ban and timeout and stuff. So no, I don't have that button. Maybe I need to go to mod. I can't be bothered. I don't know, it's gonna be fine, probably. So Mirandex, are you still here? Because then I would like read your message now. Okay. Ooh. Oh, yeah. Okay. Hey, great. I have some news about my situation. I had an incredible week, and on Friday, my ex sent me a message. And I thought, oh, she sent something like, sorry for what I said to you, or sorry for this month that I was really distant. But guess what? She sent a lot of messages blaming me for breakup with her and calling me child insensitive and saying that I will not have a good relationship in my life. After almost 2 weeks and that. Well, it's really classic. What do you think about my last message? Is a way to blame me and trying to put me down, or is she just bad for the breakup? I feel like I'm not really like, usually even when other people want to put you down, it's really about their own bad emotions, right? And they can't have you feeling better than them. And they think it's like unfair that you feel better, and that's why they like then put you down. So I feel like since you didn't have any contact, it's probably more of a situation of like, they feel shitty right now and they need to let it out on somebody. Or like they want to let it out on somebody. It's not like they would need to, but apparently they can't really handle those emotions, and that's why they let it out on somebody. And you were the #1 nominated person for that. So I don't know, unless there's like really like specific things in there, like specific actual sort of like critique which makes sense and comes from a point of not sort of like just hating on you, but also just like, hey, like that would be good if you would fix that, sort of. I don't know, like you can always think about that yourself, right? Like what she said, and sort of think about if that's like true or not, and if you think that can lead to problems or not. But if you like read through these messages and you're like, I thought about this, like that was not entirely, like that was really not the case, you know? And this is not how I really understand that. And it's also nothing which like other people say about you as well, you know, where it's like you notice like, oh, like I really thought like this is not me, but now it turns into a pattern. So if there's no pattern and you don't think this about you, then yeah, she's probably just feels shit and doesn't know how else to deal with her emotions. Oh no, it's definitely not a try to fix the relationship. For sure not. I would not in hell take this as a motivation to come back to that person. Like, if anything, you can take that as like, oh, I really thought like maybe I did the wrong decision in actually breaking up. And now being like, well, seems like I did well. seems like breaking up was actually a really smart decision because it turns out this person is like this, you know? So, yeah. Like, I think, like, knowing this, you know, like, how this makes you feel, how this message makes you feel. And, I don't know. Yeah, exactly. So that's good. But I think I would ban her contact. Like delete her number, ban her on WhatsApp, whatever. Because you have loved this person at some point, and apparently they're not a person who you can trust with that responsibility. So I would just delete them out of my life, essentially. Just ban them, not have contact to them anymore. Nine cooking pans. I have three. Works fine. So, what did you think you need to do with that message, Mirandex? Because you seem sort of clear about how you think about this message. So, is there anything like, I feel like it would be interesting to know why you brought it up here in the stream. Not because like, this is not coming from a point like, oh, you wasted my time, but this is coming from a point of like, there might be something like sort of next to the topic, but not specifically this message, which would be worth talking about. Thank you for the follow and welcome. I mean, Asta, if you think this is like gonna be like super worth it, like go for it. Like I'm not gonna tell you how to spend your money or how to don't. So so where you sort of like doubting whether like any of this is true and you deserved it in some way? Grumpy always with the most Hi Joro. Welcome, welcome. Hola. Welcome. How you doing, Daniel? Why can I give other people good tips and things I can do, but I can't follow it myself? Well, the thing is, sometimes we don't believe in tips we have to do, right? So it's more like, why don't you do it? Like, do you not believe in the tips? Do you maybe not believe that you're worth this effort and that you're worth getting better? Do you maybe not want to change your situation because this situation you know? the next one you might not. Maybe you don't follow it because you don't have the energy. There's a lot of worthwhile explanations and circumstances. I think this is honestly like for everybody in a bad headspace, right? But I feel like we just need to prove our brain wrong in those moments. We need to cling to the hope and idealism, the belief that there is something better, and just risk it. And do it even though our brain tells us that it's stupid or hopeless or not worth, right? Hi, Judith. Welcome, welcome. Thank you, Fluffy. That's a very good reminder. It's really cold outside though, so I'm not gonna like out like long. Hmm. Okay. There's enough. This is what I need. If my friends were better, then made me really shaky. I understand. I mean, maybe you can learn something from it. Much snow. Okay. Mirandex, do you still have an answer to that sort of question? There's like any doubts about whether you might deserve that or not, or whether something she said is true? I really struggle to let people in and to trust them. I don't want to learn that people are reputable. I mean, I don't think that's true, right? Like, even if you had a bad experience with those friends now, I don't think this applies to all people, right? Because otherwise, I would be horrible, and everybody in chat would be horrible as well. Because we're also people, right? So I don't know. I don't think it's. I don't know. Like, there's a lot of people which we don't really click with, and which don't really understand what we're going through, right? I mean, if you're sort of like worried about believing, like losing hope and like not believing in people anymore, I feel like honestly, like trying to mentalize with your friends could be an idea. Like trying to understand the logic where they're coming from, like trying to understand why they're saying what they're saying. Because most people don't say it to hurt others, but it's just collateral damage, really. Dealing with some physical health problems for 3 months now, and I was feeling helpless. Hmm. What type of physical health problems do you have, Jara? If you want to share, you don't need to. Welcome back, Ali. Welcome, Corrupted. I don't really know. When I think about it all, I have some doubts because everyone says you love someone, you need to try and be there for her. But I think in this 4 months, I lost myself. I think we say that. We say that because this is like a really simplified version, right? Mirandex. But this is not really like if you love someone, you need to try and be there for them. It's not really meant for the case of a person where like this is meant for like a normal relationship, like the couple like loves each other, you know, and like I don't know, like she got like sick, and then you should be there for her. Like it's meant in like a normal, like a really really normal circumstance. It's not really meant for this, you know, like for the edge cases. It's not very good. Like generalized statements are really like if they don't include a way how to work like really individually, they're usually just not a really good representation once you go out of the classic movie scenario. All right, Fluffy. See you next time, and I wish you a beautiful day as well. By the way, you have like an exam today, right? Like something I thought you had today where you thought you couldn't join the stream actually. Or is that only next week on Monday? Oh no, that was next week. Okay. Don't feel like I should make the first move because then I let them see it. I mean, I don't mean make the first move, but mentalizing you can do on your own, right, Asta? Like just try to like I mean you're the only person who knew what they like specifically said, right, and how that situation sort of like came to be. So really just like sit down and try to think about how their statements can make sense. Like what needs to be true for these statements to sort of make sense. And is there a situation where you understand how they got to the point that they said those things? I think following one's own tips is difficult because you're stuck inside your own skin, and some distance it's easier to see and give advice. It's more difficult if you're too close. I mean, definitely you did. Like, that's a big thing. The other big thing is if you give advice, you don't have to do it, right? Like you're not the person who like it's always easy to be like, yeah, just go out there, you know, like meet some new people, find some new friends. And I can easily say this because if I say this to you, right, like I'm not the person who needs to be vulnerable and brave and like combat their like social anxiety maybe to like start a conversation, then be in this awkward space where you think like, oh, I should, but what do I say? You know, like it's just sort of it's the same like oh, you should run a marathon. You know, that's really easy to say because you're not the person who needs to run the marathon. So I think that's also like the big second part of this. Like we can give advice easily because there is no work attached to it. There's no effort attached to it. And so like the sort of energy it takes to give advice is like minimal, right? The energy it takes to actually do something is really, really big. So while the solution might be, yeah, just go out there, find some new friends, you know, like saying it is like always within our energy sort of expenditure for the day. Doing it might not be within the energy we have for a day. Let's go, Ellie. 3-stream streak. I'm just careful telling anyone further. My father and his best friend fell out over feeding his dog. It was the argument at the time, but realistically the issue was he had just lost his job and was extremely frustrated at the time. But too much was said, they didn't speak for like a decade. As a kid, I didn't understand the nuance of relationships. I saw Dad's friend on the train one time and I hid from him because I thought all relationships were black and white. When I told my dad about this, he asked about him and doing. Then I was sad that I didn't speak to him. So I learned that not everything's black and white. Years later, they ran into each other and started talking to each other like nothing had happened. Like no one is an argument away from each other. One day, we will never know when, but one day we would have forgiven each other. This requires the universe to spontaneously have us in the same place at the same time. I mean, if we want to leave it up to the universe, then for sure. Unfortunately, he only got another year with each other's company before Dad's friend found out he had terminal cancer. And at the end, the friend couldn't find the words to tell Dad that he was dying. Just asked Dad to visit him in the hospital and died the next day. Was Dad's best friend for life, someone that will never be replaceable. So the point I'm making is forever isn't forever. You need to value the right people and try not to bail for trivial things. Yeah. I think this is though why I really don't like to leave things to the universe. Like, they might have like never met again, right? Like, if one of them would have been brave enough to start talking to the other person again, they could have fixed the whole thing before. And yeah. So this is really, yeah, it can cost you a lot to not speak up about something. The reason I say the universe is because you never know when the other person has worked out their baggage. I mean, if there's no way, for sure, like then that person just needs space and stuff like this. But if it would just require like a vulnerable, open communication, you know, just like one cup of tea. But this is also like, what this also shows is how sad it can be if you're not able to open up to others, right? Like was no possibility to talk about the lost job, or even being like having like terminal cancer and dying. And I honestly think that's really sad, because otherwise they could have gotten their goodbye they actually sort of wanted. And I don't know, you can have way like deeper connections if you open up to each other. And then you also like sometimes don't even need to wait until the other person like worked out their baggage, right? Because you can help them. Because you know of that baggage. And you can like agree to find a way how to work with it. If we take my best friend and I as example, that's purely why I say the universe. I mean, I feel like with your best friend and you, it's not really the universe, right?
アルファとオメガとの婚姻は、他のアルファにうなじを噛まれぬよう、指輪の代わりに首飾りをつける。まるで、奴隷だ。
露久文原作。
厚遇のオメガ。 この世界には男女とは別に3つの性別がある。あらゆる能力が高く王族に生まれやすいとされる支配階級のアルファ。並外れた特性はないが人口のほとんどを占めるベータ。そして最後に滅多に生まれることのないオメガ。男女問わず子供をはらむことができるオメガは人によって周期は違うものの発情期があり、ベータの男やとりわけアルファを誘惑するフェロモンを放つ。そのため犯罪や人身売買に巻き込まれることが多く、オメガが成人まで生きるのは難しいとされている。オメガのうなじをアルファが噛むとつがい関係が成立し、オメガのフェロモンを感じ取れるのはつがいのアルファのみになるが、それは実質オメガをアルファの支配下に置くのと同義だった。俺は雪深い国ロメリダールの王家の末席に生まれた。
お前とハヌ国の王との婚姻が決まった。13世王子とはいえ、お前は王家の端くれ。務めを果たせ。
慎んで。オメガとして生を受けた時からこうなることは分かっていた。
そろそろ到着です。
ハヌ国、青い海に囲まれた資源豊かな国。本でしか見たことなかったな。
お待ちしておりました、イリア様。私は次女長のスーヤ。これよりイリア様にお仕えいたします。お付きの方は
10世以降の王族に自重はつかない。
なるほど、かしこまりました。
では我々はここで失礼いたします。
役目を終えて清々したってとこか。
それではこちらへ宮を案内いたします。お気に召されましたか？
別に。ただこの国はこんな鳥かごに無駄な装飾を山ほど施すほど豊かなのだと感心していたところだ。俺は貧しい祖国が資源と引き換えに技術と共に売りつけたお飾りの妃だ。王はいずれ即位を取り他に子をなす。俺に仕えたところでお前たちには何の得もない。オメガのような下等種に皮肉を言われるのは初めてか？
いいえ。いいえ、イリア様。この国ではオメガはラタテ神の御使いとされています。そして王は神の写しみなのです。イリア様は民や王、ひいてはハヌ国にもたらされた奇跡。透き通る氷のように美しいイリア様、我が主、あなたにお仕えできることを心から誇らしく思います。
こういうに花風呂。磨かれたり揉まれたりすかされたり。疲れた。まるで侍女たちの人形になった気分だ。
明日の結婚式はこんなものではありませんよ。
ゾッとする。スーヤ、王はどんな男なんだ？
ご存知ないのですか？
相手がどんな人間だろうと 俺が嫁ぐことは決められていたからな。知ったところで意味がないと判断されたんだろう。だから何も聞かされなかった。
ハーリド王は太陽のようなお方です。強く正しく誠実で、民草をその光で照らしてくださいます。
太陽ね。
きっとイリア様も王やこの国を好きになられますよ。
俺が？ありえない。
それは。
王の前ではせいぜい従順な人形でいるよう心がけるよ。どうせこの身は自分のものではない。生まれた時からこれからもずっと。見たことのない花ばかりだな。俺の国では花が咲くこと自体めったになかった。
きっとイリア様も好きになられますよ。
くだらない。王もこの国も俺にはどうだっていい。子供？宦官にしては身なりがいい。高級にいるということは王子の一人か。ここはこれより王と妃のみが入ることを許された場所。王子といえどもここに立ち入ることは許されない。さっさとどこかへ行け。もしかして迷子か。面倒な。おいで。俺も今日来たばかりだからな。散策がてら出口まで送ってやる。
お前がイリア？
なんだ、俺を知ってるのか。まあそれもそうか。俺のことを知りながら高級に忍び込んだのか。随分といい教育をされたんだな。
うん。
通じない。ただの皮肉だ。気にするな。
皮肉？
そうだ。
親様はああ言うけれど、私たちは運が悪いわ。
まさか他国から来た王妃に仕えることになるなんて。
政略結婚とはいえ王もおかわいそうに。
お世継ぎが生まれるまで欲しい
怒らないのか？
なぜ怒る必要がある？次女が言うことにいちいち腹を立てることもない。好きに言わせておけばいい。さあ、着いた。ここをまっすぐ行けば高級を出られる。もうここには来るんじゃないぞ。
またすぐに会える。
あのな。もういない。
イリア様！
スーヤ。
どこにもおられないので心配いたしました。
少し散策していた。無駄に広いから迷ったんだ。
そうですか。ではお戻りに。
不思議な雰囲気の子供だったな。妙に落ち着いていて。
またすぐに会える。
スーヤ、王に弟はいるか？
弟君ですか？いえ、王はご兄弟の中で末のお方です。
てっきり王子の中の一人だと思ったんだが。なら、あの言葉は何だったんだ？
イリア様？
何でもない。所詮子供のざれ言だ。気にする必要はない。もう関わることもないだろう。
目をお閉じくださいませ。
こちらにお袖を。
少し頭をお下げください。
お支度が整いました。
お美しゅうございます、イリア様。
じゃらじゃらと動きにくい。
お召し物や宝石は王が選ばれたのですよ。イリア様の雪のような肌と海蓮石の瞳によくお似合いです。
文字通り飾り付けられた妃というわけだ。
またそのような。
スーヤ、昨日お前はオメガを神の使いと言ったが、俺の国ではそうじゃない。生まれた瞬間に人飼いの馬車に乗せられ、奴隷として生きるか召喚に売られるか、どちらにしろオメガに生まれた時点で自由はない。王家に生まれる者は大体がアルファだ。なのに俺はオメガとして生まれた。俺を産んだ母はそのことを恥じて自害し、父である国王は俺の存在をないものとして扱った。それでも俺がここまで生かされたのは、こうやって利用できるからだ。王家に生まれついても結局は同じ。
イリア様。
そうだ。それなら俺は王家としての役目を果たす。望まれるなら子も産む。その代わり俺自身の魂は誰のものにもならない。俺は昨日のこの子供が王。
うなじを。
年派もいかぬうちから玉座につき、年上のオメガの男をめとらされたのか。
イリア、これよりお前は我が妃であり国母である。ラタテ神なる王の身元に常しえの誓いを立てよ。
御心のままに。まったく哀れな子供だ。
イリア様、おはようございます。王がお渡りになられます。
失礼いたします。布をおかけいたします。
こんな朝っぱらからお渡りね。ご機嫌麗しゅうございます、国王陛下。
私と王后だけでよい。皆は下がれ。楽にしろ。
式の日から3日ぶりでしょうか。こんなに早くお渡りくださるとは、イリアは嬉しゅうございます。
やめろ、白々しい。初めて会った時はそのような喋り方ではなかった。
あの時は陛下と知らず無礼な態度をお許しください。
別になんとも思ってない。お前が本意でないのは承知だ。王位についてから休まるいとまもない。俺は好きにするから、お前も好きに振る舞え。
つまり進化の入れぬ高級で羽を伸ばされたいと。
高級とはもともとそういう場所だ。
なるほど。王とはいえ所詮子供というわけか。ここに来られたのはただそれだけの理由ですか。首飾りを取り、陛下のものだという印を 私のうなじにつけてくださるのかと。冗談だ。誰がお前のような青臭い子供にうなじをかませるものか。さっき、俺に好きに振る舞えと言ったな。ぜひそうさせてもらうよ、ええか。この際はっきり言っておく。妃として来たからには、最低限の役目は果たすが、俺はお前のものになるつもりは毛頭ない。
やはり猫をかぶっていたのか、性悪め。
身に余るお言葉にございます。誠実で賢く、誰からも愛される魅力がある。スーヤの言う通り、王となるために生まれたような子供。俺が最も近寄りたくない人間だ。国政というのはそんなに退屈なものなのか、陛下。
うるさい。やるべきことはやってる。
チェックメイト。お前は腹黒さが足りない。これでは戦の一つも勝てないだろうな。
もう一度。
これで何度目だと思ってるんだ。
イリア、もう一度。
まったく。カゴの中での気晴らしがお前とのチェスだけとは退屈で死にそうだ。
イリア、勝負だ。
はいはい。
イリア、これはどう思う？イリア、お前の国では。イリア、イリア。
こうも連日来られるといい加減うんざりする。
それだけ王のご寵愛を得ているのですよ。
寵愛だと？見たところ精通もまだな子供に寵愛を賜れるものなのか？
まあ、イリア様、王に対してそのようなおっしゃりを。それにハヌでは、18を超えるまで成功は禁じられています。神の慈しみである王も例外ではありません。
へえ、それは助かったな。あいつは、俺が哀れなだけだ。珍しさもあるだろうが。善良であるように教育された王は、孤独なオメガを放っておけないんだよ。
イリア様。
こうして、常に抑制剤を摂取しないといけないような、厄介な人間を。それに、時が経てば、俺への好奇心も薄れるだろう。なんだそれは。
名前はタルジュだ。
そんなことを聞いてるんじゃない。
虎はラタテ神の追従。そばに置くと、加護があるとされている。
だからなんだ。なぜ俺の元へ連れてくる。
以前言ってたろう。気晴らしがなく退屈だと。お前にやる。お前の国、ロメリダールは技術者が多い国なんだろ。
ああ。
お前も技術者なのか。
ロメリダールでは機械に関する基本的な教育は受ける。俺も例外じゃないが高い技術はない。せいぜい時計を作るくらいだ。
時計？お前が作るのか。
だからそう言ってるだろ
う。技術者になろうとは思わなかったのか。
俺は王家の一員だ。なろうと思ってなれるものじゃない。
なぜだ。ハヌは王室の者でも皆自由に道を進む。国王である父上だって学者だったし。
お前と俺の国じゃ違う。俺はオメガだ。
何の関係があるんだ？俺に時計は作れない。だからすごいことだと思う。そこにお前がオメガであることは関係ない。
お前に話してもどうせわからない。
お前は俺をバカにしてる。
なんだって？
俺が世間知らずの子供だから話し相手にもならないと思ってるんだろ。
ハーリド。俺はお前を見下したことはないし、こうしてお前と話していて、つまらないと思ったこともないよ。世間知らずとは思ってるが。悪かった。
なら今度、俺に時計を作ってくれ。
は？
悪いと思ってるんだろ？
わかった。
聞いたか、タルジュ。主が約束を違えないように見張っておくんだぞ。
お前は俺を何だと思ってるんだ。
わかったか、タルジュ。くすぐったいぞ。
なんだ、スーヤ。
いいえ、何でもありません。
ここはシア湖といって、ハヌで一番大きな湖だ。今は夏の盛りを過ぎたから静かだけど、毎年ここは、たくさんの民たちが集まって、とても賑やかなんだ。お前にも見せてやりたいな。まだ花が咲いてる。ほら。
髪につけてくれ。
来年の夏は泳ぎに来よう。水が冷たくて気持ちいいし。
断る。俺は泳げない。
イリア様、そろそろお休みになられては。
あと少しだけやる。気にせずお前は先に休め。
最近ずっと根を詰めていらっしゃいますね。
ああ。まったく面倒なことを頼まれたものだ。
王もきっとお喜びになられますよ。おやすみなさいませ、イリア様。
まだ花が咲いてる。ほら。
王は太陽のようなお方です。
そうだな。否定しないよ。
ほら、タルジュ。
こうして見てると普通の子供なんだが。
お前がオメガであることは関係ない。
そんなこと誰にも言われたことがなかった。
イリア、こいつ牙生えてき。寝てる。悪かった。勝手に。イリア、
これは発情期。毎日抑制剤を飲んでるのにどうして。
この匂いって。
ハリド。アルファ。俺の。
イリア。
スーヤスーヤ。
イリア様。陛下、こちらへ。
見られたくなかった。こんなところ、あいつにだけは。
王がお渡りになられたのはもう3ヶ月も前ね。最初は仲睦まじいご様子だったのに。仕方ないわよ。いくらお優しい王とはいえ、オメガの発情期をご覧になられたのは初めてだったはずだもの。
お前たち、
スーヤ様。
口ばかり動かさず、手を動かしなさい。
申し訳ありません。
イリア様、夜は冷えます。どうぞ中へ。
俺に時計を作ってくれ。
捨てておいてくれ。タルジュ、おいで。分かっていたことだ。
ほら。
オメガであることが、いつだって俺を惨めにさせる。
イリア様、明日第一王子のザイン様から祝賀のご挨拶をされたいとお伺いがありました。
ザイン王子。ああ、そういえば兄が2人いるのだったか。ずいぶん遅れての挨拶だな。
ザイン王子は長らくナタ州国へ遊学されておいででしたので、この度ハーリド陛下のご即位とご結婚を祝われにハヌへ戻られたようです。
父親の葬式にも出なかったような奴が弟を祝うためだけに。妙な話だ。まあ、いずれにしろ俺には関係のない話だな。お前に任せる、スーヤ。
かしこまりました。
ハーリドに会うのは半年ぶりか。
ほら、タルジュ。
同じ人間とは思えない表情だな。
親愛なる国王陛下、王侯陛下、この度はご即位とご結婚、心よりお祝い申し上げます。
兄上、遠いナタ州よりよく戻られました。顔を上げてください。
似てないな。
王侯陛下、お目にかかれて光栄です。遠い異国であっても、お噂、この耳に届いておりました。なるほど。この世のものとは思えぬ美しさ。
ありがとうございます。
さぞや長旅でお疲れでしょう。しばらくはハヌでゆるりと過ごされてください。
ありがたきお言葉。イリア様。
ザイン王子。
お呼び止めしてしまい申し訳ありません。
いいえ。私に何かご用ですか？
高級の中に入られてしまっては、私はもうそこに入ることはできないものですから。一度ゆっくりと話してみたかったのです。何せ、オメガをこの目で見るのは初めてなので。昔から我がハヌ国では、 オメガは神の御使いなどと呼ばれていましたが、私にはどうしてもそれが不思議で、なぜそこまで崇められているのかわからない。だってそうでしょう。他国ではオメガは奴隷も同然、触れるのも汚らわしい存在です。御使いとまで称されるくらいなら、その美しさ以外に他の人間とどう違うのか、私はそれを詳しく知りたいと思っています。この国ではオメガはすぐに神殿に入ってしまうので。
オメガの体の秘密をお知りになりたいのですか？
ええ、せっかくオメガがここにいるのです。聞いておきたいでしょ？
構いませんよ。直接ご覧になりますか？戯れが過ぎましたね。あなたの言う通り、高級に入れる男は王ただ一人。さようなら、ザイン王子。機会があれば、高級の外でまたお会いできるでしょ
う。まったく、王子が王后陛下を呼び止めるなど。
その上、あんなぶしつけな言葉をイリア様に。あまりに無礼だわ。
ザイン王子は陛下の兄上。滅多なことを言うものではありません。
ですが、スーヤ様。
それよりもイリア様はお疲れです。早く湯あみの準備をなさい。
はい。
なんだあれは。同じ種からできたとは信じがたい。
ザイン様はご兄弟の中でもとりわけ奔放な方ですから。
前国王がナタ州へ追いやったのも理解できるな。それにしても、なぜ末弟であるハーリドが王位についたんだ。あれはともかく、もう一人兄がいるはずだろう。
長子であるアミル様は、自ら王室を離れられ、今は町で暮らしておいでです。
王室を？
愛する方と添い遂げられたいと、先王もそれを許されました。
ハヌは王室の者でも、皆自由に道を進む。
なるほど。あれは嘘じゃなかったってことか。
イリア様、湯殿の準備が整いました。
ああ。こんな真夜中に風の音か。タルジュ、どうした？何かいるのか？ハーリド。
すまない。起こしてしまったか。
そうだな。
悪かった。どうしてもお前に会いたくて。ああ、話したいことがあって来たんだ。正式に高級に渡るとなると時間がかかるし、明日からまたしばらく来れないから。一緒に来てくれ。見せたいものがある。
いいのか？宮殿を抜け出したりして。
大丈夫だ。この時間ならバレない。
どうだか。
着いた。座ろう。
お前はもう俺に会いに来ることはないと思ってた。
なぜだ？
浅ましい俺の姿を見ただろう。あれがオメガの本質だ。獣と何ら変わらない。てっきり軽蔑されたのだと。
そんなことない。お前のことを軽蔑するなんてありえない。
突然来なくなったじゃないか。
それは忙しくて。とにかくお前のことを嫌になったからじゃない。
街が朝日に染まって金色に輝いている。
綺麗だろ。昔から好きなんだ、この景色が。この光景を見るたびに思う。俺はこの国が、ハヌが好きだ。王としてこの国を守りたい。だからイリア、お前にそばにいてほしい。王としての俺を妃として支えてほしいんだ。
お前なら他にいくらでも美しい妃が取れる。
お前以外の妃など俺にはいらない。お前がいいんだ。お前ほど聡明で美しい人間なんかいない。その魂もその瞳も全部綺麗だ。俺はまだ子供だし、王としても未熟だけど、早く大人になってお前にふさわしい男になるし、立派な王になるから。だから
趣味の悪いやつ。お前が望むならそばにいる。ハーリド、俺の小さな王様。
イリア様、先ほど陛下から知らせが参りました。シェクリナ地方からあと1週間ほどでお戻りになるそうです。
らしいな。手紙に書いてあった。
国王に即位されてから地方を巡礼されるのが習わしとはいえ、イリア様は少しお寂しいのでは？
そうかもな。
何の騒ぎかしら。少し様子を見てまいります。
おそらく1ヶ月ほど戻れないと思うけど、離れる間この時計をお前だと思うことにする。
この間投げ捨てたはずなのに、スーヤ捨ててなかったのか。
イリア、これを。魔除けの宝剣だ。お前の身を守ってくれるように。
小さいな。まさしくお前のようだ。
お前はいつも一言多いんだ。
おやめください。ここは王以外入れぬ場所。何のおつもりですか、サイン様。
ここは今日より私のもの。私が入ることに何の罪がある。ハーリドは死んだ。ハーリドは死んだ。昨夜、巡礼の最中に賊に襲われ、命を落としたと。
いい加減なことを言うな。
いい加減なものか。先ほどシェクリナから知らせが届いたのだ。これを見ろ。
ハーリドの耳飾り。
ハーリドは貴族たちに人気がなかったからな。上辺だけは従っていても、所詮は承服。卑しい出生の王など、誰も認めるはずがあるまい。あいつを王位につけた父の気が知らん。ハーリドがいない今、王位継承者は俺のみ。
ザイン様、恐れながらそれは。
誰が発言していいと言った？あいにく下賤な者の言葉に傾ける耳はない。ハーリドから渡されたものがあるはずだ。シバティの宝剣は代々王が受け継ぐもの。汚らわしいオメガが持っていていいものではない。
誰に触れようとしている。そこの道家はまだ即位していない。 私に触れることは、ラタテ神への反逆と心得ろ。
オメガごときが黙っていれば。
なるほど、道理ですね。お目にかかれて光栄です、王侯陛下。私はナタ州国第八王子のチェンと申します。この場にいる無礼をどうかお許しください。
ナタ州国の王子がなぜ？
おい、勝手な振る舞いをするな、チェン。
今王侯陛下に対し騒ぎを起こせば国民からいらぬ反感を買うかもしれません。今日のところは引くのが賢明かと。
いずれこの国は俺のものになる。俺に尊大な口を聞いたこと、その時に後悔するがいい。
失礼いたします。
イリア様。
大丈夫だ。死んだ。ハーリドが。
オメガとは思った以上に美しいものなのですね。本物を目にしたのは初めてです。
オメガなど、本来なら王族が目にするものではないからな。なんだ、あのオメガを気に入ったのか。俺が即位したら、お前にくれてやってもいいぞ。ああ、いや、先に抱いてみるのもいいな。何せ見てくれだけは一級品だ。あの高慢な顔が獣のように歪むのは、さぞかし愉快だろう。
この男が次期国王とは、ハヌの民には心から同情する。おそらくこの国が崩れるのはそう遠くはないだろう。そうなれば、ナタ州がハヌを取り込むのも時間はかからないはず。
誰に触れようとしている？
神の御使いか。もう一度あの姿を見てみたいが。
王の死の知らせは国中に伝わり、ハヌはまるで太陽を失ったように悲しみに満ち溢れた。ハーリドの体が戻ってくることはなく、3ヶ月続いた葬儀はあっさり終わった。
このように何日も雨が続くのは、ハヌでは珍しいことです。
ハーリドと俺の間に世継ぎがいない今、次期国王はザインだ。後宮に残りザインのものとなるか、神殿に入って神のしもべとなり生きるか、決めろと言いたいんだろう。どちらも真っ平だ。俺は誰のものにもならない。俺がそばにいることを決めたのは一人だけだ。ザインでも、ましてや神などでもない。
イリア様。
早く大人になって、お前にふさわしい男になるし、立派な王になるから。
嘘つきめ。いっそのこと、すべて終わりにすれば。
イリア様。
スーヤ、どうした？
ヤハに申し訳ありません。ザイン様が。
ザイ
ン？満足に出迎えもできないのか。やはりオメガごとき、ろくな教育を受けていないようだ。
ザイン様、イリア様はハーリド陛下が亡くなられたことへの心の傷がまだ癒えてはおりません。その寛大な御心で、今宵はどうか。
王はもう俺だ。 高級に入った妃であるなら、王の討議をするのは当然のこと。むしろ、情けを賜ることをありがたく思え。
都議だと？
弟の残した妃に対する、せめてもの情けだ。お前に都議を許す。
何よバカな。
その獣と侍女長を、この場で切り捨ててもいいんだぞ。俺はそれが許される。
スーヤ、主を連れて部屋から出ろ。
しかし、イリア様。
主の言うことが聞けないのか？
かしこまりました。
人形のようにいい子にしていれば、可愛がってやらなくもない。
貴族の傀儡に人形呼ばわりされるとは滑稽だ。
傀儡だと？
違うのか？大方、猫なで声の貴族どもにいいように腰に乗せられたんだろう。どうせお前など都合のいい傀儡としか見られていない。何が王だ。笑わせる。そう思っているのはお前だけだろうよ。
いつまでそのヘラづくしが聞けるか見ものだな。お前に一ついいことを教えてやろう。矢に射抜かれたハーリドはそのまま地に果て、体は獣たちが食い荒らして髪の一本も残らなかったそうだ。首を持ち帰れなかったのは残念だったが、あいつにはふさわしい死に様だろう。
お前、
ハーリドを撃つように命じたのは他でもない。俺だ。なんだ、いい表情をするじゃないか。そこらの将棋よりもよほど刺さるぞ。
王としてこの国を守りたい。だからイリア、お前にそばにいてほしい。お前がいいんだ。
貴様、よくも。誰かそのオメガを捕まえろ。
どうして俺は逃げてるんだ。何もかもどうでもいいと思っていたのに。崖。
王侯陛下、どうか宮殿にお戻りください。
来年の夏は泳ぎに来よう。
こんなことならあの時うなずいてやればよかったな。
あっち行こう。でね、小物売りがちょっとあれ。あら、やだ。行きましょう。
誰も僕を見ない。父上も会いに来てはくれない。僕がオメガだから。僕は何のために生まれたの？僕なんて生まれなければ。
お前がいいんだ。一緒にいてくれ。
ハーリド。主。宝剣。 さかお前も飛び込んだのか。
気がつかれましたか。3日間眠ったままだったあなたのそばを片時も離れようとはしませんでした。とても賢い虎です。おそらくまだ体の傷が癒えていないので、無理はなさらず休まれてください。
なんだ、どこかで。
イリア様、よくご無事で。お守りできず申し訳ありません。
スーよ、どうして。
私が秘密裏に知らせました。宮殿には少しつてがあるので。お目にかかれて光栄です、王后陛下。私はアミル、こちらは妻のダーシャ、戦王ラーヒゼヤの長子。ザインやハーリド陛下は私の弟になります。
キラキラ。
みんなイリア様のことが気になるようですね。
子供は苦手だ。
金色の髪はハヌにはいないので珍しいのでしょう。
アミル様、
お体の具合はいかがですか。
まだ万全というわけには。
なぜ王室を抜けた。王になったとしてもあなたの願いは叶ったはず。あなたが王位につかなかったことでハーリドが王になった。その末路がこれだ。ハーリドは殺され、その体さえ戻ってこない。
イリア様、
あなたはここで孤児院を開いて孤児たちを救った気でいるだろうが、ハーリドも同じく親を亡くしたばかりのたった10歳の子供だった。
ザインにもかつて王室を離れたことを責められました。確かにあなたの言う通り、王室を離れなくともおそらく私の願いは叶ったでしょう。私は当然自分が王位を継ぐものだと思っていましたし、幸いなことに周囲も私をそのように扱ってくれていました。けれどハーリドが生まれて、あの子が成長していくごとに私は思い知った。王になるために生まれる人間はいるのだと。たまたま私は先に生まれただけなのです。王族はアルファとして生まれるものが多い。そのため頼りも多少優れているのは当然のこととされています。ですがハーリドだけは、わかるでしょう、あなたにも。ハーリドがどれほど特別なのか。本人の意志とは関係なく磁石のように人を引きつけ、ハーリドを一目見た者は皆自然と頭を垂れすがりたくなる。そしてあの子は幼くしてそれらを全て背負う才覚があった。国を背負う王としての才覚です。私やザインにはなかったものです。父もそれはよく理解していた。おそらくザインも心の底では理解していたはずです。とはいえ、こうなった原因は私にもある。あなたが私を許せないのも仕方がない。
違う。
少なくともここならザインの手は及ばない。いつまででもいらしてくださって構いません。ハーリドを大事に思ってくださりありがとうございます。
俺は ダメだ、タルジュ。ここで待ってろ。いい子だ。行ってくる。どういうことだ。通りのあちこちに不老者がいる。ここは首都に近く、比較的栄えた町のはず。
ザイン様が即位され、重い税が課せられるようになり、貧しい者だけがこの町に残りました。
つけてきてたのか、スーヤ。
はい。申し訳ありません。イリア様、どうかお考え直しください。ザイン様のもとへたどり着く前に捕まってしまいます。それに仇討ちは、ハヌでは大罪。ザイン様の謀反の証拠もありません。王侯といえどもどんな処罰が下るか。
別に構わない。もともと生きようとは思ってない。
イリア様。
俺が最も許せないのは、俺自身だ。近くにいることも、守ることもできなかった。そばにいれば身代わりになってやれたかもしれないのに。俺は今こうしておめおめと生きている。そばにいると、約束したのに。それが許せない。
金色の髪。あれがオメガ。
まさか本当に？
まずい。フードが落ちて。
リリア様、私の後ろに。
囲まれた。
まさか目にすることが叶うなんて。
これはラタテ神のご加護か。
王侯様はハリド陛下の後を追い亡くなられたと知らされていました。
国民に対してそう触れを出したわけか。
ラタテ神の写し身である王とハヌにもたらされた神の使者オメガの王侯がどちらも亡くなり、ザイン様が即位され、私たちは飢えてあとは死を待つばかりでした。
けれど王侯様は生きていた。その上こんなに近くで見姿を目にすることができるなんて。もういつ神に召されても思い残すことはありません。
王侯陛下、イリア様。
あなたの存在は私たちにとって奇跡です。
やめろ。俺はそんな大層な人間じゃない。ただの無力なオメガなんだ。お前たちの思っているような存在じゃない。
俺は王として、この国を守りたい。だからイリア。
そうだった。ハーリド。お前の願いは。スーヤ。
はい。
俺は民を、この国を、王侯として救う。
イリア様。
うん。ほら、治った。
ありがとう、イリア様。
な。
うわあ、すごいや。
ほら、あんたたちイリア様はお忙しいんだ。お手を煩わせちゃいけないよ。申し訳ありません、イリア様。
構わない。ちょうど休憩しようと思ってたところだ。子供はあっという間に成長するものだな。
イリア様がこの地に来てからもう8年ですから。
最初はあの子たちもまだ赤ん坊でしたから。
平和だった春がこんな風になるなんて、あの時は思いもしませんでした。
ザインが即位し、ハヌは大きく変わった。 国民に重税を課した上、ナタ州国からの内政干渉を許し、苦言を呈する大臣たちを次々と粛清。少しでも不満を口にした者にも一層の弾圧を強いた。当然、国民の不信感は募り、各地で反乱軍が立ち上がった。国王軍と反乱軍の小競り合いは続き、花の国と呼ばれたハヌの面影はもうない。すまない。
イリア様が謝られるようなことは何もございません。
イリア様は私たちをここまで導いてくださった。イリア様がいなければここにいる者たちは皆死んでいたでしょう。
あの時、ハヌを救うと決めた俺にできることは限られていた。戦で家や仕事を失った者たちを集め、自給自足ができるよう環境を整え、ロメリダールで学んだ機械工学を教えた。今では集落の全員が何らかの機械を作ることができる。それを他の町に流通させた。技術があれば金を稼げるし、性別さえも関係なく生きていける。
イリア様、できました。
そして、力のないものでも扱うことができる武器の作り方も教えた。よくできてる。この時代、オメガは特に身の保証はない。自らを守るための武器は必要だった。
有象無象の集まりに敗走しただと、国王軍であるお前たちが。
申し訳ありません。
王国に、ひいては王であるこの俺に泥を塗る行為だぞ。
申し訳ございません。次は必ず。
軍隊長は席を取り全員自害しろ。家族親類もろともだ。
そんな。陛下、どうかご慈悲を。
無能どもが。
反乱軍に手を焼いてらっしゃるようですね。うちの軍をお貸しできればいいのですが。
お前の国の力など借りずとも、反乱軍などいずれ皆殺しにできる。
最近反乱軍の統率が取れてきている。優秀なリーダーができたのか。まあ、それはそれで様子を見るのも楽しいな。
イリア様、武器を提供してほしいという者たちが訪ねてきました。おそらく反乱軍の者たちかと。
もう武器の噂が回っているのか。追い返せ。戦のための武器を作るつもりはない。
しかし。
くどい。
はい。
このままでは国を救うことなどできないのは分かってる。だが国王軍も反乱軍もこの地に住む者は皆ハヌの民だ。俺は戦をさせたいわけじゃない。
先日シュエトで国王軍と反乱軍の衝突があったようです。
シュエト？近いな。最近やけに多いな。
今はもうどの地域にも反乱軍が。今回は国王軍が退いたようですが、町では被害が大きく、市民の犠牲も。
反乱軍とはいえ、戦は素人の民兵の集まり。最初はすぐに国王軍が制圧すると言われていたが、8年もかかっている。ナタ州は内戦には全く介入してこない。むしろ内戦を引き延ばしたいのか。今は考えても仕方がない。今夜シュエトに行く。
イリア様、国王軍が潜んでいる可能性が。
見て見ぬふりはできない。
ですが
タルジもいるし大丈夫だ。
しこまりました。
スーヤが心配するのも理解できる。だが俺には8年前から一度も発情期が来ていない。まるでつがいを失ったオメガだな。まだうなじも噛まれていないのに。生きていたら18か。お前はどんな男になってたんだろうな。武器を持たない者まで手にかけるとは。生きている者がいるかもしれない。探してくれ。危険と判断したらすぐに逃げろ。
わかりました。
イリア様、何かあればすぐにお呼びください。
ああ。タルジュ、何か見つけたか？子供を抱えた母親。母親の方はもう。おいで。ここは危ない。俺はお前たちを傷つけたりしない。
ここにお母さんを置いていけない。
置いてはいかない。後で必ず迎えに来る。約束する。よし、立てるか。
待てお前たち生き残りだな。
手綱をしっかり掴むんだ。タルジュ、2人をスーヤのところへ。
待て子供はいい。男を追え。
足をひねったか。どこかに身を潜めないと。スーヤたちは無事に逃げただろうか。国王軍が近くにいるのはある程度予想していたが、町全体の殲滅でも命じられているのか。だとしたらなぜそこまで。
そっちに行ったのを見た。遠くへは行ってない。
まずい。なんとかやり過ごさないと。ここに長居するのは危険だ。
見つけたぞ。そこを動くな。
逃げ場がない。
すぐに楽にしてやる。
貴様！
喋るな、動くな、抵抗するな。そうすれば殺しはしない。
心臓の音がうるさい。体が震える。そんな、まさか。ハーリド。
Because you still want to have stuff to do with your friend, but your friend doesn't want to have stuff to do with you. So it's not the universe, it's your friend. Right? Like, you're essentially waiting for that person who put the boundary down in terms of like, no, I don't want anything to do with you anymore, to either like change their mind or be open to a conversation again. Right. So I just want to like, I think it's sort of important to be aware of this. Like, I know that like saying it's the universe sounds nicer. I don't think that's the case, though, right? And I feel like, for example, like with your dad, if it was a situation where it sounds like a situation where both of them essentially just walked away from each other and didn't want to talk to each other anymore, like for them, both people could have reached out the entire time. But they didn't. Like, it needed the universe for them to meet each other at a neutral spot to be able to talk to each other again. So, like, sometimes it's about timing for sure. And then it's about, yeah, people like working out their baggage. There's a lot of situation where the timing is so late or might never come because we don't work on our baggage, right? Because we leave that up to the universe as well. Like, sometimes we don't fit together, and then we like, everybody for a few years has their own life, and you work through certain things, you change, and then you meet each other again. It's an entirely different constellation, and then it works all of a sudden. Even though before it didn't work, right? But yeah, there's also just situations where the thing which is not working is like could be changed, and like could be changed just like from somebody, right? And it's not really like about the universe, but it's more like, will you put that effort in? Like, will you try to gain that knowledge? Will you be brave and vulnerable to put yourself out there and get over this? Or will you die like that? Like, there's a lot of old people dying completely ignorant. There's a lot of old people who don't die like that. And it was not just, oh yeah, but like God didn't like was on the side of one of them, right? And the other person wasn't. But it's really just like, are you open for change? Like, do you try to change? Like, do you see problems and then try to find a solution? Or do you try to put like everything under the carpet and just adjust your life to not be confronted with any of the problems? Agree can't be changed, but I also can't say to her, you must change. No, that's exactly what I mean. Like, this is like, it's up to her. Like, you already said you would be there to talk. As long as she doesn't want to, there's nothing you can do. But it's not up to the universe if that's going to happen or not. It's up to her if that's going to happen or not. Like, this is what I mean. Like, with some people, it won't work. With other people, it might. But it's not really, like, up to the universe. It's up to, like, it's because of those people and they're different. You know what I mean? And we can, like, this is also important because, and I want to make this point very clear, because some people die having no friends, okay? And no social life and really a shitty life. Some people don't. The difference is not the universe. The difference is if they are able to see problems and overcome them or not. Like, if they're able to adapt and adjust or not. That's really the difference. And sometimes God, like, or a belief, a religion can help people to have that strength to change or to get that motivation, or maybe to just find a community where they are supported to be able to battle this change, right? And get over it. But it's not a way where like a God, not even God, can make you change. Like, you have to choose it for yourself. I also know there's every chance I will never see her again. I know, but without a push, it's not going to happen because I know how stubborn we both are. I don't, like, is that the situation though? Like, from what I know, Indiana John, this situation is like you tried to reach out to her and did your very best, and she has a hard wall. And it's like, no, I don't want to. Fuck off. It doesn't seem like you need a push. It seems like she needs to get over some problems. And you can't make her. Like, not even with a push, not even if you were to throw her down the stairs. Like, there's no level of pushing you can make someone change if they don't want to. Right? Like, not even a religion can change that. Like, it's really like, either she changes, and then you might be able to be compatible again in the future, or she doesn't, and then it's not going to happen, right? But it's like, it's really up to her, and then also at the end, like, to you, if you want to engage in that sort of relationship again, right? Where, like, till then that happens, like, you might have already found some other friends, right? You're, like, entirely happy with. And then she hits you up again, and you're like, you know what? Like, no, I actually don't want to be, I don't want to be attached to the drama anymore, actually. So it's like, I don't know, like, from how I understood it, it's not really that you need a push, I think. No? Like, sort of how you explained it, I didn't understand it like this. Like, I understood it like you sent her a bunch of messages and she's like not interested. It will eventually calm down, but till then, no one will know. Yeah, exactly. But I don't think it's like, I mean, I technically wouldn't reach out. That would be my personal decision and sort of opinion on this. Because I feel like a friendship is always two-sided. And if I put so much effort in already, and I know that the friendship is like the existence of the friendship is entirely only dependent on me, the friendship is not healthy. So I would wait for her to hit me up. Because I'm like, only then I can be sure that she apparently is able to take up more responsibility now. To make this friendship turn into something which is a healthy and non-dependent relationship. You can, if you know her so well, and you know, like, in half a year, like, this is going to be over, you can text her in half a year again. If you, like, still think about this and you still think, like, this is something you want, you can text her again. If she, like, banned you till then, or, like, how do you say this? Like, if she, like, blocked you till then, well, you can't. But then it's also, like, a valid choice, right? Like, we can't force other people to like us. So, yeah, it's a thing where, like, yeah, but we're not waiting for the universe. Like, we're waiting for her, if she has that insight, right? I'm, like, corrupted. Every time you say this, I'm, like, so worried for the next months for you. Like, if it's already that bad now, like, ooh. Welcome to the chat. I can absolutely not say your name. I'm really sorry. But yeah, Huggy's corrupted. Big Huggies. What type of news do you have, Gray? Were you able to sleep properly? And welcome, welcome. Hi, Nutmeg, by the way. Mental health is extremely important. You're very correct. And how are you doing? And welcome to the stream. And sure, not sure what the cause is yet, but something immune system related. I'm developing a different infection almost weekly. Also caused inner ear problems that has made me dizzy and off balance the whole. Oh my god, that sounds really, really annoying and super volatile as well. Is there like anything the doctors can do, Joro? Because like, I don't know, like it seems like it can cause like technically like anything really. And just sort of like on a whim. Which sounds really, really tough. Also to just like plan your life having that. The universe can't like... I really hate this the universe talk, bro. It's something where I'm like, if we rely on the universe, we're gonna end up in a ditch, okay? We're not like, if we're talking the universe doesn't want us to survive, okay? Like, the universe put us on this earth, and it's like everybody for themselves, you know? Like, if we rely on the universe, we're not gonna have food or anything, okay? Like, we're just gonna die in a ditch. Like, this is universe. So the only thing the universe can give is essentially negative motivation, because it can either make you like be like work really hard because otherwise you don't have food or shelter or something like this. Because there's like bodily needs you need to have fulfilled, and it's not free. But the thing is, with like, it's not like she's gonna live life, right? And she's gonna live life the entire time. And there is, I also, with that saying of like universe, we are taking the responsibility and autonomy away from her and putting it on the universe. Like, oh, she's gonna change because the universe makes her. Why? She is choosing to change, or she is choosing not to change. You're not ignorant by not making choices. You have made choices leading you to the point of ignorance. Like being, for example, like emotional unavailable, or just sort of like not having friends and stuff like this. You have made choices bringing you to that point in your life. So respecting that autonomy, she's making choices every day. Not talking to you, not sending you a message, putting that boundary down are all choices she's making. How she behaves around her friends, how open she is, if she takes responsibility herself or not, all of that are like choices she's making. So with every choice, there's consequences, right? So essentially with every choice, she has the possibility to change and choose different. Just because she doesn't like the consequences of her choices, like the results of her choices. So for some people, it might be hard to make other choices, because there's like a lot they lived through and stuff like this, where it's just hard to overcome the fears attached to these choices. But then there's, even though all of that is maybe sort of like a thing where this would take a lot, they still have a lot of easy choices. So for example, seeking out therapy is a choice. If you can't just seek out therapy, maybe talking to a friend or not about this and having them sort of be like, hey, take therapy, is a choice. Maybe talking to your GP and just being open to them saying like, could this be something mentally? And then just not saying no, but saying yes is a choice. Like there's so many choices we make the entire time. We have a lot of autonomy and a lot of responsibility. Where we will end up in our life is depending on our choices. And for children, we say this is like whatever choice you make, like we don't expect you to make good choices, and that's like entirely fine. For adults, we have that category of like, if you were in a situation where like violence was a thing, we're gonna like we understand that the result is gonna be like sort of trying to stay alive first and then other things. And like depending on your information level, we can't really expect from somebody to overcome that fear of death, right? And then we have a whole bunch of choices where we entirely understand how people make them. And well, we're just like, we don't judge them, but at the same time, we might want to support them making better choices. Like we don't really are in a position to judge any choice a person is making. And the sort of position as a psychologist, for example, or therapist, which I don't have, but like my therapist had, was, for example, that he helped me to make better choices. This is also why in therapy, the autonomy is with you. Like I could have chosen the entire time in therapy to make shitty choices over and over again. But I got the education and the support, which empowered and enabled me to make better choices. It was still scary though. Like it still required me to be brave, put myself out there, be vulnerable, challenge my fears and all of these things. So the choices are like, they're easier, and you have somebody who's like informed, like a professional, who's giving you like sort of a sense of security of, hey, this is going to be a good choice to make. And I'm like telling you, like, I know you are scared of that choice, but in the end, trust me, it's going to pay off. And this is really like how sort of like you go for therapy, right? Like there's a bunch of choices and you don't really understand in the beginning how they make you end up where you are right now. And the more sort of psychoeducation you get, and the more you talk to your therapist and your therapist talks to you, the more you understand how your choices actually correlate, or like sort of how, well, it's not really correlate, how they cause the life you have. Like that I, for example, felt like my friendships are not really worth much is because I wasn't vulnerable. It's because I didn't open up. It's because I also kept having people around me which are not available to those sort of friendships, right? So it's the thing I can change is myself and the choices I make. And it's not a thing where you can like from one day to the next be like entirely different, but it's a thing where you can change something small every day, which puts yourself in a slightly better place. So for example, if I like back then when I had like sort of body dysmorphia, I unfollowed all influencers on social media. This was one of the easiest choices I had, which I was able to make in the right direction. That choice enabled me to later make other more difficult choices because it put me in a slightly better headspace to then maybe make the choice to actually not watch the label on like which size something is I buy, but to actually just buy the size which fits. Or to try wearing something where I feel like this might not suit me well, or this might not cover up some of my problem areas as good. And so these like small choices, like we look down on them like a lot of the time, but they will enable you to make the bigger choice tomorrow and the next bigger choice the day after. So this is really like, we can't, if it's unreasonable to, for example, if you suffer with like negative self-talk, to be like, okay, I'm just going to stop it. Just like that. I'm just going to stop it. I'm just going to be positive. I'm going to say my 10 affirmations every morning. and like I'm just gonna like not have these thoughts anymore. Like this is not something we can do. Like our thoughts are what we think is like rather involuntarily, but we can influence what we think by making like the right choices for ourselves. So for example, not putting myself in that position where I have to compare myself to like really like fit bodies every day, put my brain in a position of comparing me less as well, because it was less on my mind. And so with that, we can sort of like, we can influence our body, and then our body is going to influence us less, and then we can influence our body a bit more. And then sort of like we work together with our body to get where we want to go. But it's not a thing which is going to happen from one day to the next. And it's not a thing where like the universe is going to do anything, but it's a thing where like we decide, we have the autonomy. And if we don't understand that we have the autonomy, we will wait for the universe to do something while it is us who needs to do something. Right? Because that's the only thing we can change. The only thing we can change is our decisions. And our decisions have a bunch, like a really huge range. It's like, which people do we keep around? Which movies and series do we watch? Which books do we read? Which education do we get? Which people do we listen to or not? Do we exercise? Do we eat enough? Do we drink enough? Do we go outside enough? Like, what do we do with our body? Like, we can choose to treat our body in a way where we're gonna, like, probably die in 20 years. Like, that's a choice we can make. Maybe not the best one, but we have so much freedom with these choices. We have really a lot of freedom with these choices. Even if we are in a position where there's like so many choices made for us, where we can't choose about them, there's like still so many little things where we actually do have freedom of, and where we also can find freedom in. This is why, for example, like if you've ever been to like a less developed country, not everybody is freaking unhappy there. Like just because you're in a poor district, not everybody is sort of looking to die because their life is so shit. There's gonna be some happy people. Like when I was a kid, I traveled like with my mum and like my family to the Philippines. That was when I was 12. And it really opened my eyes how there was this one family who had essentially like not even doors, you know, it was essentially like a roof, like some walls, but that was it. And they had like no money at all. And they gave us like, they had one like field of like bananas, like banana trees. And that's how they made like that's how they survived really. And I honestly, like, depending on their financial situation, I don't know how old they get or how long they survive, really. Like, don't ask me stuff like this. I literally can't tell you. But they were happy. And they were actually so happy and so sort of, like, fine and content with the life they had that they gave us, like, the rich outsider expat people, tourists, they gave us like bananas and we wanted to give them something back, but they were like, no, we don't want. Like this for free, this for you and your kids. Just enjoy. They even had happiness to share, you know? So this is a concept which is like, this is why it's so important to me. Because this concept literally empowers you to find happiness in any situation. Or like the most happiness you can find in a situation. And I think this is important to know. Because in that moment, because when we say that, like, it's important for us to understand in like concerning our own life, right? But it's also really important to understand in terms of others. Because in that moment where we put the autonomy and the responsibility away from others, we won't make the decision like they made that choice. We see them as a person which has essentially like less willpower and less sort of like freedom of choice like we have. And this is first of all making us respect their choices less because we don't expect them to make choices, right? We're like, oh, they're just like a jellyfish. They just go where like the water is like leading them. Maybe that was where they actually wanted to go. So now we are more likely to actually are overbearing and take choices away from them. Especially also because people like this, sometimes we also sort of say like, well, they don't really make good choices, you know. Does that put us in a position where we can make the choices for them? I don't think it should. Like if we are like a parent or something, for sure, that's like a responsibility we have. But if we're not the group leader, if that person didn't give us that power and we just take it from them, it's actually, in a way, just not respecting their consent. It's not something they asked us to do. And it's something where we can sort of, where we believe we're making the right decision because like we know what's better, right? More easily. It makes us not respect their autonomy and their choices. And this is really just not something we should do. They are their own person and everybody is free to choose a shitty life if they want to. Right? And we can help them. We can offer them help. But if they don't want to, then we can't do anything. And I don't think it's our place even to do anything then. Like some people get that responsibility from sort of like, I don't know, like if you're a drug addict and you're like trying to get clean, you know, and you give somebody that power, then like, okay, like now they have that power. But there's so many situations where we just take that, even though we don't have the right to it all. And especially if it's sort of in the terms of a friendship, it also is low-key, like it can low-key also mean something toxic for ourselves. Because we just, you know, it's like, it's exhausting to take responsibility. Like it's exhausting to make good choices. So if we always expect other people to make less choices and then always sort of suck up that responsibility around us, we're going to be like super fast. We're going to be capped out on like energy and everything. It's also like going to way more likely put us in a position where we actually have people around us who don't even want to be around us, but we just sort of adopted them. But we also deserve to be chosen. So it's, yeah. I don't know, like I hope you were able to follow me. But this is really something where I think it's so important to not have this as like a sort of base level belief about somebody. Because I think it can be very easily harmful to yourself and for the other person. Also, sort of what it implies, right? That like, because like if you're fine with that, you're essentially fine just that you just do like and carry like way more responsibility than the other person, and like nobody is like sort of, I don't know, like nobody is like seeing that or wanting that even. You just do that. It's like sacrificing yourself is like, I'm fine with that. Or like, it's a belief which can have something to do with that very often. Thank you for the follow. Welcome. Interesting, Gray. You're getting into therapy in 3 days? Amazing. Wow, that's really cool. And I'm glad you were able to sleep better. Do you think you were able to sleep better because you had the good news from getting into therapy? Or what do you think could that, why did that maybe happen? Yeah. Universe is busy doing physics. Mm. It seems very difficult, Joro. I really hope the waiting is gonna treat you well, and you're gonna be, like, get to see the specialist, like, soon. And there's gonna be something you can do about it. Thank you, Raka. You have to do something pretty bad to go in 20 years. I mean, I don't know, like, if you take drugs every day, you drink alcohol, you smoke cigarettes, you know, like, you're probably gonna be able to catch death in 20 years. No? Like, you just all the time eat like way too much sugar. Yes. Mm. Yeah. Oh, I see. Great. Well, I guess it's still good that you were able to sleep. Some people sacrifice themselves and always show up because they are being the person that never showed up for them. The strong one also if you don't show up. It's still something where, like, yeah, I understand that, and we sort of like glorify that in a sense, right? But even that needs to be in balance. And if you do that to the point where you actually sacrifice yourself and sacrifice your own life, you're ruining your own life by trying to be there for other people. So, what type of situation did you get yourself into, Yellow? What? I don't even know what you're talking about, Domindo Patudi. Hmm. Oh, damn. Yeah, some people really just, I don't know, it's really sort of like ironic how I feel like health seems like really fragile because like there's so many so many people you talk to who have like irritated bowel syndrome or like chronic headache or migraines or like get the cold like super easy or have some like back pain or stuff like this, like have some pain in any way, shape, or form. I feel like it feels like so many people have that. But then on the other hand, like yeah, you have like people who just when you feel like okay, like that person like surely just you know like that seems like if you do that you would just die and then they just live. Where it's like apparently like our health is like fragile, but at the same time you don't die as quick or something. Yeah, for example. My generation got told to shut up and man up. Well, I mean, it's not really like that, it's just like your generation, right? It's really like just capitalism, right? Like if people start like not going to work because they have headache or like some sort of pain, like if pain is apparently so common, like capitalism would do really bad. But at the same time, like going to the doctor here in the Netherlands is so annoying because most doctors literally just tell you take paracetamol, which is like a painkiller, and then like see if it's gone in 2 weeks, and if not, then like come back. And if you then come back, they just sort of tell you like, oh, you have like blah 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 pain syndrome, which means deal with it because we don't really do anything around it. Like the amount of just like sort of pain syndromes which are existent now and are like so commonly just like, oh yeah, you have irritated bowel syndrome and you too, and you and you and you. It's just like there's I don't know why, but there doesn't seem to be much motivation to actually find out if there's anything to be done. Like, I don't know if this is more like a more international thing. Like, I know that like some countries, for example, like Peru, is really, really like, I don't know, like just with doctors and just like sort of the medical attention you get, is like really detailed and like does like a bunch of tests and stuff like this. But yeah, like I feel like here in the Netherlands, that's just not really the thing. Like, I thought it's already bad in Germany, but when I moved to the Netherlands, like the doctors here, they literally like they don't want to move you over to like a specialist. They really don't. I still say it. So I stole $200 to try and start a small business, but I stole it from my dead great grandfather. I was given $100 to me and $100 to my sister. My father is gonna ask me where the money went. What should I say? I've returned the money to where it belongs, but I haven't told my dad that the money wasn't. So, what do you mean if you have returned the money to where it belongs, but the money wasn't yours? So you got the $200, you used it on a business, but then you put it back? Like, were you able to like, so the business like worked and you got like more than $200 back and you put them back? So like now technically you, like the $200 is like still there, but it like went for your business and came back, sort of like this? Depending on the doctor, I guess. You just take it really serious. Yeah, I don't know. For me, they really don't. And hi, ZD. Good morning. Welcome, welcome. How you doing? So you wanted to spend the money on the business, but okay. So you thought about starting the business, but then you didn't and you put the money back. But you did say you put it where it belongs. So why is the money not yours? Like you put did you put it back so that like your sister now gets $100, or did you put it just like back on your bank account or something? I mean, can you like tell him that like that you still need to give like $100 from that to your sister because it was for her? I mean, I think I would just tell your dad that this is not like yeah, this is in your wallet, but it's not like spending money. It's like the $200 from your grandma, and like $100 is like for your sister, and you still need to give it to her. So it's like, I would just clarify that there's like not spending money. Oh, your sister's 10 years old. Oof. Because I would have been like, okay, I don't tell him, but I tell my sister. But if your sister's 10 years old, that really like doesn't really do it. I think honestly I think you just need to complain. You know? Very cute of you, Dixon Donut. Welcome. Classic literature of the 20th. Wow. Okay. Crazy. Let's go. Yeah, my Dutch is actually like sort of bad. Like, is your Dutch better? Judith? Just for a medical certificate because I didn't want to go to work, but I had a red chest, a heat stroke, and my doctor sent me for a whole ton of blood and respiratory test negative, but he really wanted those results. In his eyes, I'm a failure. My sister's this golden child. I mean, that doesn't matter though, right? I think it's good that like you didn't do it, you know, like you wanted to take the money for this business, but you didn't. And you wanted to spend the money, even though it's not spending money, but apparently sentimental, and you didn't. So in the end, you came around and make the right decision. Whether that's a thing your parents want to focus on or not, it's a different story, right? And we can't really change them. But I think whatever they say, you can be proud of yourself that you did in the end make the right decision. And you know the opinion which matters most, like of course we like think a lot about the opinion of our parents and it's really important to us. But the most important opinion about us is the opinion about ourselves. Because in that moment where you come clean to your dad and you know that you made the right decision is a thing where you can stand behind yourself. You know? I think you should go up to him first. I think you should go up to him. And like I don't know, like in which sort of context he found out about the $200 in your wallet, because it seems like it's your wallet, but you can just sort of like, so I don't know like how the situation like really was, that it's like, is it like openly said that this is like normal spending money or something, like, or did he just assume that? Because if it's more a situation where you want to like, you think he assumes that, but you want to clarify, you can just approach him and say like, hey, like you saw like the $200 in my wallet the other day, and I like didn't say something at the time, because I don't know, because I didn't want you to like think bad about me. But these are the $200 from grandma, so they're actually like not spending money, and like 100 of them still belong to my sister, and like where should I put them or something? So you didn't say something because in that moment he actually thought like wasn't as disappointed from you, right? Probably. Maybe there was even a moment of like him being impressed or something like this. Oh, so it's also sort of important for the business. at the end, Yellow, you need to do the thing you won't regret later. It really depends on who you are and who you want to be. Like, what will you not regret later? Like, if you keep the $200 in your wallet, and it seems like that's like what's happening right now, right? And it seems like you're regretting that now. It seems like you know it's not that good, and you sort of like, you want to come clean, but you don't know how. But it seems to me like you're actually very clear on like coming clean and like not keeping the $200 there and not spending them. Like, it seems like you made your decision already and are regretting that you ever sort of doubted about and sort of like thought about spending it. So then you should stick with that. Because like no matter how much like you're gonna like earn with the business or like how impressed your dad is gonna be, if you yourself in that moment are only thinking about, oh, like that this is actually like this wasn't really my money, and like this is really like I can't really take that compliment because I didn't save that up on my own, and like technically like I hope he's never gonna find out that I actually spent that money, and like my grandmother is not like, you know, it's like never gonna come out and stuff like this. Like, if it's gonna bother you this entire time like this, it's not gonna be worth it. Like, no amount of success is gonna make that go away. Because you yourself can't lie to yourself. So I think no matter the consequences, you just need to do what you don't regret. So what would you not regret, Yellow? Or what would you regret? Listening to your stream is interesting, even for someone going to therapy for more than a year. Quite a few interesting things. I'm glad, Raka. I'm glad you enjoy it. Oh, Indiana John, that's like, if you're gonna end up being that doctor, like, I'm gonna be in your DMs for sure. Because I feel that, bro. Hi. Mom's born. Well, I think considering like Yellow doesn't know if he's gonna get that money back, right? And like gonna earn it back. Like, after all, it's a business, like things can go wrong. It's a thing where it is sort of like stealing, even like if you pay it back at the end. But it's like you lend it without like the okay to do so, right? So like we're gonna like, we can try to talk ourselves around this, but like sort of as I said, it like matters most what we think about it ourselves, and we can't lie to ourselves. So no matter how, even like when we say like, oh, it's not really stealing, like if Yellow thinks it's stealing, it's stealing. Like, it doesn't really matter. Because he saw the money, assumed you saved it, and I don't know, you really wanted to have that positive attention once in a while. and I don't know, you didn't want to like you thought about like putting it in a business, but you decided on not like spending this, and you hate that you have to disappoint him like this now. And you're scared that he's gonna be like super angry and life is gonna be hell for a couple of weeks again. But how old are you, Yellow, by the way? Hi, Jess. Welcome. Okay. Like the only thing I sort of like want to know this is how young you are, you know? Like it's sort of like if you're underage still or not. Like if there's like more even ground, or like how dependent you are still on your family. I see. Is there some adult who's on your side? Like who's not biased or verbally abusive? Okay, great. I think every woman needs a good man. It helps cure mental health and relationships. I mean, sure. But like I think like that just is sort of like for any person, right? Like sort of like the first good relationship we have like heals a lot of our inner child stuff. At the same time, sometimes the sort of like these toxic circles we bring within our baggage are really attached to us, not too much to the people around us, right? And then we're gonna make like any good relationship bad as well, or like not find a good partner because we're not a good partner. So like no good partner would like you know, want to date us. So I think that's, I don't know. I'm not too much into this idea of like being saved by another person. So I just want to put that out there. The sister's 10 years old, and Yana John, she's not it's not really, I don't know. My mother cried and looked like she was gonna disown me when she found out. She forgave me-ish. So she knows already. I mean, can you ask your mom if it's like if you should tell him or not? Like, did she say anything like this? Because I think if your mom said you shouldn't tell him, then you're good. Like, then yeah, you don't have to. So did your mom tell you to like like in the context of this, like, did she essentially tell you like to stay away from him and not tell him? I think if your mom knows already, I would go to your mom and ask her if you should tell dad or not. And I would, like, if she then says like, no, don't tell him, like he's gonna be like super angry, then like ask what you're supposed to do, because this is not spending money and he thinks you're gonna like put this into business and you don't have it. Like if she can maybe like lend you $200 or something. Hmm. I mean, if he's gonna confront you anyway, I would tell him first. I would try to tell him first. I think this has a big impact. Because then you can get ready for it mentally to tell him. And the situation is a bit more on your side. Well, I mean, this is of course not good, right? But I mean, I guess you can see it in a good way that, like, I don't know, like if you did this for the last time and like never steal something again, then this is the last time. Like, there's also no way you can get therapy, right? Because the thing is, so, like, I feel like if he's gonna find out anyways, and he's gonna confront you anyways, and that's like set in stone, like, we can't do nothing about that, you know? Then we can't do really anything about the, like, that he's gonna be angry, right? Or that he will crash out. Because if he finds out anyway, that's just the thing which is sort of gonna happen, right? Yellow is not comfortable to share the age. So I think the best you can do for yourself is be the first one to bring it up, because that puts you in a position where you choose the moment, but not your dad is gonna like get worked up and like super, super angry and then ask your mom if she can like talk to you with your dad, if you think that's gonna like sort of lessen the blow. And you can ask friends for support in the upcoming days and just sort of like tell them like it's gonna be super hard for me, and if they just, I don't know, if they can have time for you a lot, or if you can come over a lot or something. Mm. Is there physical violence involved in your household? Hmm. I'm not sure about the system in the country you are, because I don't know in which country. But with like child neglect and abuse like this, also just like emotional abuse, but especially with like physical abuse, there's like child services, right? And children have rights. So like technically children have rights. Like I don't know how the system is in your country, but it might be worth checking out and sort of like, I don't know, like Googling or talking to ChatGPT or friends or teachers, or like trying to find out more about that. If there's like anything which can be done. Oh, what do you mean, Crafty Run? Oh, do you know more about the system, Indiana John? Like, do you know what type of possibilities there are? And for example, like if the family would get like financial support when the dad is being taken away? Or if there's like community like houses thing? Is there like some type of community center, Yellow? Like sort of close to where you live or in the city you live? Like, have you ever like looked into something like this? Because community centers are usually like a really good first spot to get information on how to get out of such a household. I don't think they're gonna be like, I feel like LGBTQ people are gonna help you. So I would honestly just go there and ask the people there if there's like, if they have any sort of system or like how they could support you or your family, like how sort of the future would look like this. You know? I'm gonna try to find out something about the Australian system. The thing isn't my dad is taken away, I'm homeless. I mean, maybe not. That's sort of like what I'm trying to find out. Because in some countries, there's, for one, there's places where they take in children who don't want to live with their family anymore, right? At some places, there's, for example, financial support for families to like keep like an apartment or a house if they don't have any financial income. Hmm. It's hard to find something out about this. Tafe for free? What is Tafe? Is that sort of like a institution or something? I mean, verbal abuse has a big impact, though. Like, physical abuse is not the only abuse which is going to make your life harder, you know? Like, verbal abuse can have a great impact on your mental health. And the difference between, like, being killed by your parents and committing suicide because you don't think life is worth it anymore, you know? It has the same outcome. You are dead. So I just, like, I'm not saying, like, it's that bad, but I'm just saying, like, let's take verbal abuse serious as well. Like, it's not just physical abuse which needs to be taken serious. So verbal abuse can have a really, really tough impact as well. If you think you're going to be out of that household in like a few years and you just feel like, you know what? Actually, I'd rather stay here and just wait till these few years are over instead of like going to these services, maybe having to go to a different school or maybe having to live in sort of like a dorm with other kids and stuff like this. That's like fine, you know, it's like your decision to make. And if you think that's like the better option, that's like, you know, that's entirely fine. But apart from that, it's just really a situation where like maybe this situation would go away if you find that amount of money, but like the next situation is going to come around as well. And if your dad, for example, is generally just more irritated for the next couple of weeks, like for sure you're going to be a target of that too. So it's a thing where, you know, it's like a toxic household situation is not resolved by dodging one moment or one problem. You can send the link, and I think technically because you're a subscriber, it should go through. If not, I can probably just like copy that link and send it in as well. Oh, yeah. And that's exactly what I mean. So this is not really about their situation right now. It's really just a shit situation in general. And I would hope that, you know, we can work towards a solution which is more long-term based. And I think, for example, like this kids helpline, which is like based and has like people which are informed about the Australian system and how like in Australia kids can be supported. There you can find information. Like you can find information on like what would happen if like, you know, like if you don't want to live at home anymore, like what options are there? Like at some places it can like if you're like old enough, it can even be an option to live in an apartment with like one or two other like younger kids. And that would be like your living situation. And that can be quite fun actually. You know? I mean, I don't know if you have to start with if you have to give them like personal information, you know? You can also just tell them that you don't want to give them personal information. doesn't let me open it. What do you mean? Without the info? Let me click there. It's loading super long. Page unresponsive. It might be that I actually can't click through because I'm in the Netherlands and they restricted the access to inside Australia. So I don't know about the phone number, or like, yeah, I don't know how they connect, but maybe you can just, yeah. Let's get started. So first name, you can for sure just put whatever in. Town, you can put whatever in. Postcode and state, you can put whatever in. Where I'm coming from, you can put whatever in. Age, you can just put a slightly different age into it. Okay, now it's gone again. Yeah, it's not the first page, is when you click connect now. Then. You can actually, apparently you can just call a specific number. Like there's also a phone number you could call instead. Well, I'm gonna hope that that's not gonna happen. Or that you would evacuate because the fire department is gonna tell you. But yeah, I think this kid's helpline is really like a, you know. I mean, from what I heard, there's just like then you like evacuate to like a different city or state, depending on like where it's like super hot and where it isn't. Hmm. So, here's actually, I have an article about they have a bunch of like self-help content, so they might actually have some articles about how they can like help you to get like to different like out of there. So apparently they also had like some other kids already, and the way the kids helpline works is essentially that that the counselor you're going to be connected with is like talking you through the options you have in Australia and how to get help, or like which sort of help you want, right? And then so here's sort of like a story from like somebody who used that kids helpline, and she says that her counselor like talked her through everything and like how to do it and stuff like this. And so then she did all of these, and now just gets like normal support to like deal with all of the sort of history she went through, but is at a better place. So there's also so there's a phone number you can just call, and then there's sort of like they have sort of like a group chat where I can actually also get help. It's fine, Esther. And hi. Hi, Coco Puff. Welcome, welcome. Yeah. I bet Esther. But also, I think that's probably not the easiest topic for you, right? So, I understand. But apart from this kids helpline, like if you don't want to like talk to somebody online, or if this seems like out of reach for you, Yellow, if there's like an LGBTQ community center in your neighborhood, they're gonna help you as well. Like I would bet my ass on it that they're gonna help you as well to the best of their ability, and they might not be like perfectly informed to help you the best, but I think they're gonna try as hard as they can. It's too early for kids helpline. They actually also so they have this like group chat I told about as well, right? It's where is it?